Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
And I'm Valerie, daughter-in-law.
And co-host. Valerie is filling in for Catherine today. If you tuned into the podcast last week, I think it was, that we dropped the announcement that we had to go to every other week for a period of time because our regular co-host Catherine she's in the grandma vortex, Val.
She's busy.
Yeah. And her grandson was born a month ago, and that month has gone so fast, and I get it. Like, she's in the grandma world. So anyway, we're doing 2 episodes per week. I mean, per month with Kat. That's all she can do right now. She's got a ministry that she's working on as well. And so Valerie offered to jump in and co-host and be a sub. So you're subbing today, which I'm so appreciative of. And actually, Val came up with the topic for today that I think you guys are really going to like, and it's on the topic of grief. And I'm going to share with you just some of the things that we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about grief in its many forms. Val's going to share her story of grief. I'm going to share mine. We're going to just talk about gratitude also as an anchor for grief, and permission to feel, which is great. We all need to be able to feel the feels, right? We're also going to share some scripture and a call to action at the end, so stay tuned for that. I did want to share with our listeners, and Val, if you don't mind, because you're also a supporter of the podcast, share with them how one can support the podcast and what it's meant for you to be a supporter of the podcast.
Yeah, so you can donate just one time, a lump sum. It could be $1. It could be a couple $100.
Sure.
Whatever you can kind of budget in. But you can also contribute $5 a month. Let's be real, that's sometimes less than a cup of coffee.
Right, for
sure. So you're really not going to miss that $5 if you can contribute. So it's pretty easy. You can go to Tracy's website, which is
tracydegraaf.com. Yep.
And through there, you can contribute just that one-time donation or the monthly subscription.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing that and for letting people know how they can do it, because it does cost money to put the podcast out there, and we would like to add some, we would like to get some help.
Either an extra mic or to be able to help you guys go onto YouTube.
Yes, both have been goals of ours to add to the podcast and grow it. So hopefully that's in the future. And we do plan to come back to a weekly publication of the podcast after the summer. We're hopeful. But this is great. So we'll just go for what we have. So you can go to my website, which is tracydegraaf.com, or you can go to lifehappenslaughanywaypodcast.com. Either URL takes you to the same place, and you can donate a one-time gift, or you can sign up to give, every month, $5 a month. All right, well, let's jump in. Val, share with our audience kind of what made you think of this topic, and then let's talk about the different forms of grief.
Yeah, so what made me think about it is I, 2 years ago, lost somebody really close to me, and it hit me in a new grief way. And through the last 2 years, my grief has changed, but I was also really curious about different kinds of grief. Mm-hmm. You automatically think grief is just the loss of a loved one, but it can be deeper than that. There's a lot of other different losses throughout your life that you may not believe that is grief, that this may open your eyes about. When I automatically think of grief, I think of it as a deep, heavy emptiness of something or someone that we deeply love, that we lost.
Yeah, which a lot of people do associate grief with just the loss of a life, the loss of a loved one. And I love that we're talking also about these other categories of grief. We grieve situations, we grieve circumstances, the loss of a job, of a pet, of an opportunity, things like that. And it's important for us to really think about that. I think as an empty nester now, there's a lot of people in my age group. So I'm 60, as you all know. And in my age group, there are people that enter that empty nest season with some grief. Like, you're sort of grieving what's gone and never to be again.
Right, even though the people there still exist.
Of course they do, but they have moved on. They have moved on.
Said, I'm out.
Right, peace out, Mom. We'll talk to you at Christmas, maybe. And I think even probably for you, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, so speak into that as a brand new mom with little Lincoln. I mean, you have these stages that just kind of come and go and come and go.
I mean, I've been pretty good. I think I've said it before, but Joel had a moment where he was grieving his past life.
Yeah.
He's like, my entire world has changed, and I know it's never going to be the same. And that hit him pretty hard.
Yeah.
And he was staring into Lincoln while that was happening.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, I was just so ready for it. So I don't really feel like I grieved anything.
Yeah.
I was ready to be a mom, and I was ready for all of these consistent changes. I don't miss work.
Yeah, well, that's good. You have new work.
Right. So it's going to just change. It might be different when he's up and moving around and it's a lot more activities. We're still in the chill stage.
Right.
So once we get to that point, I'll probably feel different.
It's so crazy to me how life is a constant change. Mm-hmm. Even now, I mean, Ron and I had a meaningful discussion earlier today about entering into retirement. You know, retirement for us is right around the corner. And that is a whole different season for people. You know, your schedule is different.
Right.
You know, what you've saved for is there now, right? Or if you haven't, I mean, it just depends on where you're at with that.
Yeah, it's hard to go from a daily schedule to,
yeah,
what do I do now?
And your purpose has changed. You know, like we were talking about how when we were your age, when we were in our 20s and our 30s, we had a bunch of kids. And so obviously your time is dictated by your family.
Yeah.
It's like birds in a nest and all of them with their little mouths open, you know. So you go get the worms.
Feed me. I need this. I need this.
It's so true. And now there's so many like options of what you can do with your retirement. What do you do with your time? You know, what time do you get up in the morning, and every day's a Saturday, and what do you do with your extra money and all that stuff. So it's just interesting how change, you know, every season has changed.
We'll see how soon Ron wakes you up. I'm bored.
I don't know.
He goes to work and you're probably still sleeping. So.
Yeah, most of the time he does because he leaves pretty early. I mean, sometimes I do like to at least say goodbye to him, you know, at 5 a.m. But yeah, it's going to be interesting and also different. Mm-hmm. And I think there'll be an adjustment period. At least that's what I've observed in the couples that are ahead of us. Friends, family, you know, there's an adjustment period. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get through that without too many bumps. We'll see. Anything else that you wanted to talk about different forms of grief?
Yeah, so grief just is more than death. You know, there's loss of a pet, divorce or relationship loss, job changes or just disappointments of not maybe getting a promotion or not taking the path that you thought you would go down. Mm-hmm. You know, I started off in healthcare, then bounced into the grocery store, then I went back into healthcare in a different version, then I went into HR in the corporate world, and now I'm a stay-at-home mom. So mine has always changed, but it really hasn't followed the path that I thought.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be getting into social work, but I tried it out. Wasn't for me.
Yeah. So you got your degree in sociology.
Yeah. And I had a minor in psychology and business. So, and that's what I started off with is behavioral health. I was working with people with autism.
Yeah, I remember that.
Behavioral issues. Mm-hmm. It was a great job, but I needed more pay, unfortunately. And with the stress of everything, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how we have a plan in our mind and goals, and that's all good to have.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't really know what the future holds, and so things shift.
Yeah. I started college with athletic training.
Oh, that's what you were going to do?
100%. I knew I wasn't smart enough for like physical therapy or doctor, so I thought athletic training would be the route, but I still couldn't keep up in the classes. It was really hard for me, and I had to change that avenue, and I definitely grieved the fact that was a passion of mine that I lost.
Yeah.
You know, I loved in college, I took a class, or in high school, did really well. I was partnering with the athletic trainers in high school, so I was taping and working with the students side by side with, of course, a person who had their degree and certificate, because that's what I thought I'd get into.
Yeah.
And once I got into college, it was failed a couple of classes, and it was like, all right, I got to look inward. Where can I go now?
Well, it's a good thing that you didn't give up altogether and you just, okay, that wasn't for me, but something else is.
Shifted.
Yeah. What about the pet side? Because you mentioned that, I've never had a pet that died.
So I had a childhood dog, Boston Terrier. Her name was Whimsy.
Whimsy.
Yeah, she was really whimsical, which is why they went with that name. Yeah. The dog was technically for my brother.
Okay.
They got her before I was born. My mom paired it perfectly. She was looking for a very high energy dog because my brother was very high energy.
Okay.
And with me on the way, he needed a distraction.
Yeah.
But obviously, going from being a baby, the dog was in my crib with me.
Oh, wow.
All the way up until, I think I was maybe 8 or 9 when she passed.
Okay.
But that was hard, being a child and losing something that was there every day.
Yeah, that is hard.
It was the first time that my parents had to explain what death was.
Yeah.
And even today with my dog Sadie, I cry all the time thinking about the future of her dying.
Yeah.
And Joel is always telling me, he's like, why are you grieving her now?
Well,
and it's like, well, I heard something on the radio or watched a movie, and it makes me start thinking about that happening to us, and it makes me sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's not going to be here forever, and she's so great, and I'm so connected with her.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because you guys got Sadie at a time when you were in Texas and Joel was working nights and you were alone.
Oh, I was so lonely.
Yeah.
Like, we had Jake and Ellie in Texas, but that was the only friends we had.
Yeah.
And transitioning from living with my mom to living with Joel and then him leaving to go work was hard for me, especially nights, because he was working nights.
Right. So Sadie really filled a void there.
Oh, yeah.
And she's a great dog. She's really excited to have Lincoln too. She's like it's a family. She's a part of your family.
She's truly part of my family.
Yeah.
I do believe though sometimes animals are working animals. Our pit bull is not.
Yeah, right.
She is a couch potato.
Yeah.
But there are, animals out there that you don't get connected to because you're using them as a tool, not an emotional state for you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of listeners can relate to that. I remember being in college, and my mom had a golden retriever that actually it was my brother's dog. So it was a working dog. It was a bird catching dog or whatever. Like he would take it out to get ducks on a boat. And this golden retriever was trained to do the retrieving.
Yeah.
And I didn't have much to do with that dog because I really didn't, I just wasn't involved in it. Mm-hmm. But then my brother went off to college and my mom sort of adopted that dog. Okay. And I think she was grieving some losses too because my brother was gone. Yeah. And so she was bonding with the dog. Then I went off to college. She's still bonding with the dog. And my sister was at home. But when the dog passed away, my mom was so sad. She was broken. Mm-hmm. Yes, she was. I mean, she was really grieving. And I felt so bad for her. And then our family surprised her that Christmas and got her a puppy. Oh. We got her a new golden retriever. Yeah, and she cried. So anyway. All right, what else you got on your list there?
Friendship changes. Friends sometimes come and go.
I know.
And there's a lot of moments that you think back of, I miss this person. Again, they're still here in this world most of the time.
Yeah.
But they're not in your life. And you still have those moments of grief of, I wonder how this person's doing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I've been thinking about that with Catherine over the last 2 weeks when she's been giving all her time to Warren, the little grandson.
A little jealousy there.
Well, I'm like, I haven't seen my bestie in 2 weeks, but I get it. Sometimes things like that happen.
Yeah, priorities change a little bit.
They do.
One is cancer diagnosis.
Oh, yeah.
Either a loved one getting cancer or having it yourself, is a big grief. There's the scaredness behind it.
Sure.
And truly just, it changes your world, especially if it's yourself. You went through the cancer diagnosis. How was it for you when you found out?
Oh, it was terrible. It was a shock. It was You just don't expect it. So
No.
you expect, like, you hear that other people have cancer. And my mom died of cancer, so I'd been down that road before, so I knew that it was hard. Because cancer, as you know, having gone through it in your own family, you don't go through it alone, which is good, but it's bad. Because you know it's tough. Mm-hmm. And, gosh, I might cry.
That's okay.
Yeah. There it is. When I told Ron that I had cancer, he was out in the garage working on one of their cars. So that's
per usual.
Yeah, that's been Ron for the last how many decades? We had 5 boys and we had a bunch of junk vehicles because we couldn't afford new cars or whatever. So Ron was constantly working on somebody's car. Mm-hmm. And gosh, I don't even remember, how old was Joel in 2016?
He was at least, it would be 20.
Okay, so he was still living at home. So Joel was at home, and Adam would have been then 18-ish, 17, 18, somewhere in there. And then Caleb was in high school. So we still had 3 at home, and our other 2 boys were up and out. And I was turning 50, and we just didn't expect it, okay? So they called me to give me the results of my biopsy, and they said it's invasive, what did they call it? They called it invasive breast cancer, IBC, whatever. Anyway, carcinoma. They called it carcinoma. I was like, what's that?
What drug or what did I inhale?
I'm like, wait. I said, you have to tell me. Are you telling me I have cancer? And he said, yeah, it's cancer.
And they did it over the phone?
Well, yeah.
Wow.
And it was not the doctor. It was like the tech, but that's okay. I'm like, okay, whatever. This is what it is. So I said, well, what's next? Because I don't know what to do next. And he said, you need to follow up with your doctor and figure out, next steps.
Yeah.
Because now when you have a diagnosis on the table, now you have everything else that you thought you were doing is over there. It's off the table. And now you have to choose a doctor and a treatment plan and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, Ron doesn't know that this is happening. He's out in the garage, and the boys are doing the boy thing. I don't even know where they were.
Digging in dirt.
Right. They're just whatever. But they were teenagers, so they might not have even been home.
Nah, they were gaming.
Probably. So I go out to the garage, and I couldn't even talk. I could not speak. All I could do was tear up, like I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. And I pointed to my breast, and then I made a sad face. So that's how I told him. And then he knew. Yeah. Because he knew that we were waiting for that phone call. And he cried. And, your father-in-law doesn't cry. Not like me. But he cried, and I was like,
Well, his favorite person was hurting.
Yeah, for sure. And the only other 2 times that I've seen Ron cry was when he held our firstborn. So when he held Nate in the hospital, he cried. When the other ones came, he did not cry. He did not cry. It was like,
well, the first one's a whole thing.
It's probably kind of what you said Joel was going through.
Yeah. If you guys had a girl, he would have cried again.
I think, for sure.
Yeah.
If you have a girl, you're going to see your father-in-law fall apart. Yeah. And then he also cried when Free Willy got free. Those are the only 2 times he cried. That film?
I would not expect that.
Me neither. I did not expect that. When Willie jumps over the wall?
Yeah.
And now he's free? And we're sitting there watching it, and Ron's tearing up, and I'm like, are you crying? And he's like, yes. He got free.
It makes me wonder, there is this really good movie out there. It's called The Whale.
Wait, is it Brandon Fraser? No. Okay.
But it's another well-known actor.
Okay.
I'm terrible with names, so I can't think of him. But it might be another movie that...
Oh, we'll have to watch it.
Because Joel and I we're both bawling on that movie.
Yeah.
It was a heartfelt one.
We like to watch movies with Joel and Val when we go visit. Anyway, yes, cancer is definitely a grieving process because there's a lot of bumps along that road. And there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of questions in your head of what's going on. And then, of course, as you know, you've lost someone to cancer. I've lost someone to cancer. Mm-hmm. When it ends in death, there's times when, like in the case with my mother, it was sort of a relief in a way because she was suffering so badly.
Yeah.
And she used to say in her fight, she said there are worse things than death because she was really suffering. She had a very painful cancer. So, yeah, it's tough. Sorry for the tears, everybody. Sorry, not sorry. Whatever. It is what it is.
And then just real quick, a few other ones. Infertility and miscarriages are really big.
Yeah.
For women, but also their partners.
Oh, yeah.
Dreams that never come true. Expectations that weren't met. And then just seasons of life changes and endings. Just like you talked about with empty nesting, but also with grandchildren. Catherine can't always be around now. She's got something, coming up, and it's a different season of life for her.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I'm just learning this, and Ron too, about our bodies and how they change as you get older. So it's always a body part. Like there's a certain body part that's not working right. I was talking to my friend at church, who I think she's about 10 years older than me, and she has her toe. I think there's a toe problem. and so we're talking about the toe, and I have my eye situation going on. I'm like, yeah, my eye's not going to get any better. So it's sort of funny because you grieve that too, because when you're young, you just expect everything's going to work, right? You're going to get out of bed and it's all going to come with you. But when you get older, you're like, would you all get together? Like, let's all go at once. 1, 2, 3, up. So it's interesting. All right. Anything else from that segment that you wanted to talk about?
No, that's everything.
All right. Well, let's share a little bit from, our personal grief. What would you like to share with our audience about your story?
For me, just story and personal experience. The one that I talked about earlier, his name was JD, James Lippa, if you want to look him up.
Oh, yeah.
He was a singer in an 80s rock band.
Yeah.
So if you want to look him up, their band name was Jared Sin, S-Y-N for Sin. Pretty cool. So go listen. But he was my mom's partner. They technically were only boyfriend and girlfriend, but he meant a lot more to us.
Yeah.
He was with us for a short period. 4 years was not very long, but he made a huge impact.
Yeah, he did.
I named my son after him.
Yeah.
Lincoln's middle name is James, and he filled a hole that I didn't think I needed filled. Another part of grieving, my dad walked out of my life. My parents got a divorce when I was 13, and he just slowly backed away until he was basically forever gone.
Wow.
And I had a big hole and a lot of abandonment issues, and JD kind of fixed that for me.
That's great.
He showed me what a man could be. He's the one that kind of convinced me to have kids.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think I wanted them.
Yeah.
And he was able to prove not everybody vanishes. Your husband's still going to be there. He loves you to death. And just because your father left doesn't mean your husband's going to leave.
Yeah.
They're not the same person. He also, it was great to see my mom in a different kind of relationship.
Sure.
My father and her didn't have the type of relationship like she had with JD. She was more touchy-feely. She held his hand, would put her hand on his thigh. They would constantly kiss, saying hello and goodbye.
Yeah.
I maybe remember 3 times that my parents kissed. Like, it just wasn't that type of relationship. And just seeing the glow that she had, it was so nice to see her be so happy.
Yeah.
And when we lost him to his battle of cancer, it just crushed us. 4 years just wasn't long enough.
No, he was too young anyway. I mean, what was he, like 61?
Yes.
Yeah, that's way too young.
But the type of cancer that he had, technically he shouldn't even made it past his 20s.
Yeah.
The doctors were shocked for him getting his first cancer in his 50s.
Yeah.
So he was able to outlive any doctor's thought. So he was definitely meant to be in our lives.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
You know what I find interesting about JD as well is that I know that he never had children, but yet
I turned into his.
You turned into his daughter, whom he really loved and invested in, and you not only heard the message, you got the message.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's great.
it took me a while to get there,
to
open up. But once he did, it was like, man, my mom found a really good guy.
Yeah, she sure did. And an interesting guy. You would never guess that JD was a 80s rocker. Because Ron and I were obviously teenagers in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So, of course, when we found out, and we didn't meet JD until he was in your life. And when we found out that he was in an 80s rock band and you guys showed us the video and all that, we're like, wow. Yeah. I would have never guessed that.
He lived so many lives.
Yeah, he did.
Like, talking about seasonal changes, that was him to a definition.
Yeah.
He grew up in Indiana, a mom that was poor. They didn't have a lot. He got into a lot of trouble in his early teenage years. And basically the police told him either go to the military or go live on the farm with your family. So he went to live with his grandparents, working on the farm, and then got in trouble again. And it's like, all right, well, this time you're either going to jail or you're going to military, and he joined the Navy.
Wow.
After the Navy, he got really close to God. He's a Catholic man, and learned Latin, was part of the choir, so he's classically trained, which blows your mind from listening to him singing in a rock band,
right,
hitting the high-pitched notes to being able to go to a choir, which is just beautiful. And then living up in Chicago for so many years, and then, getting the different life change of basically living with my mom and almost having, adult children.
Right. Yeah, and I understand the church that he went to, the Cathedral Church in Chicago, that he had a big part of bringing that church back to life.
Yeah, it burned down, and the church just didn't have the money to rebuild, and part of that community fought for it and got it rebuilt. It's part of the historical Chicago area, and they actually built up the congregation too.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah. So just putting the word out there.
You know what I love about the story of JD's life is I love how many redemptive stories are part of his life. Like there were do-overs, there were wrong turns, but God brought him back. He went this way and God brought him back. So it's just amazing to me. In one life, in only 61 years. I mean, as a 60-year-old woman sitting here, I'm like, that's not long enough to live. It's not. So, all right. Anything else that you wanted to share?
For life transitions and just unexpected losses, I thought about coworkers.
Okay, yeah.
Coworkers are also come and go. Either you left or they left. And sometimes it's a little hard when you work for an organization and you start getting really close to a group of people.
Yeah. And
they all start slowly leaving to go to other companies. And then all of a sudden you realize you're the last original person.
Yeah.
And you're constantly talking about them. Oh, this person, we used to do this. And, oh, well, this is how we used to do it. And you kind of have to grieve and change for how the new people come in.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you really think about, of grieving your old coworkers.
It is weird because every person brings a different energy and perspective and attitude, and it can make the world a difference, to the good or to the bad. So be nice, everybody. No toxic people, please. Yeah. All right. What else you got?
So another was, what did grief actually feel like?
Yeah.
When we lost JD, I had to step up. My mom lost her partner. She had a lot of brain fog. Her brain just wasn't working at all. But she had a million details to go over for the funeral. He ended up actually planning his funeral. He already had a list of everything he wanted: the flowers, the chorus, and what songs they were going to sing, where he's going to be buried, even down to the food menu and where we were going to eat. He planned. But there was still a lot of little details and just the organization of it. So I had to hold my grieving until the funeral was done, because I had to make sure that everything ran smoothly. So I kind of had to put myself on pause because I wanted to make sure that the funeral was perfect.
Yeah.
Was it? No.
It's all right. Nothing's
there was
perfect.
little hiccups here and there, but at the end of the day, it went beautifully.
Yeah.
It was amazing, especially to be able to walk into his church.
Yeah.
But it showed that each one of us had different grieving spots.
Yeah.
His brothers were still angry, so that's another, different type of sadness in the grieving process. I went through different stages as well. For a while, there was a little bit of resentment of why did he leave us so early?
Yeah.
And then a little bit of guilt as well of wishing that I spent more time with him.
It's hard to deal with those emotions when death comes our way, because it's sort of a final, and sometimes it can be sudden and other times it can be a long-term thing, but it is final on this earth. I mean, we have the hope of heaven, so we have that to look forward to, but it is hard.
It is.
So all those emotions just kind of swirl up.
And they hit you at the worst time.
They do. They do. Anything else that you wanted to share on your side?
No.
Okay. I was going to share a little bit about losing my mom, because that was the biggest relationship, that I lost as a young woman. I was 27 when she passed. So that was hard, because my kids, I only had Nate and Luke at the time. So your husband wasn't born yet. Mm-hmm. And it was just like all my friends had their moms, and it was great for them. But I was like, dang,
I wish.
I'm missing out, And she went from being totally healthy to having a cancer diagnosis. She had some pain in her shoulder and was like, oh, I should go. I probably have arthritis. She was 47 when she was diagnosed. So she was very young and vibrant and full of life. And she had gone back to college. So she had a future, Yeah. But that just didn't work out. She died a few years later, and just shortly after, my second son was born. So it was just hard. It was unexpected. And then my dad being a widower, that was weird too. And then there were so many different things that we did throughout the next 20 years, right? Because we had to clean out, my dad wanted to sell our childhood home, and so we had to clean that out. My sister and I go there to help him move, and we figured he'd packed something. He had not packed one box on moving day. We're like, Dad, did you think that you should pack something? He's like, well, we'll just pick it up and move it. Okay. He was just moving across the street, so he figured we would just, carry everything across the street, one little thing at a time. So anyway, there's just a lot. So that grief was one portion of it. And then when my dad passed away, it's been now 7 years ago, I think it is, that he passed. So he lived quite a bit longer than my mom. But it was also hard. He was 77 when he passed. And it's just, there's a finality to it, You can't talk to him anymore, and you just don't have him present. So, I think grief should be, if we don't grieve, we don't feel. And if we don't feel, are we alive? Pinch, am I awake?
Yeah. Is this a dream?
Right. So I think it just shows we're not psychopaths or sociopaths. We feel. We experience emotions, and emotions are powerful. So even though sometimes they're scary because you don't necessarily want to feel that sadness, like even trying to hold back tears, you're like, I don't want to be out of control.
But the release is needed.
It is.
There's a reason why our body tenses up, and then the crying is a release to make you feel better at the end.
Exactly. And I think that it also shows connection, you're not afraid to be human. I call tears just it's just my heart overflowing. So, okay. Lucky you. You get to see it. So I really do think that grief it's a part of our human experience. We're all going to go through it at some point. And we shouldn't be afraid of it or shy away from it. We should just experience it. And if we need help or support through it, that's good too. Counseling. I did have to go to counseling when my mom passed. I just wasn't functioning.
Yeah.
And I was flat. So I would go to church and I would just be like, hello.
You were numb.
I was flat. I was numb. And my pastor noticed it. And he was like, I would suggest that you go to counseling, because this was a very unexpected thing. Your mom was young. You were young. So Ron and I went to counseling. Ron came with me, thankfully, because he just wanted to support me, So it helped.
Yeah.
The first counselor that we went to, I didn't like, and Ron didn't like either. So we went to a second one.
Right. So that shows if it doesn't work out, find
Just
another.
go to another one. Yeah.
There's somebody out there for you.
For sure. Because, it's got to click. You got to click with the counselor. So those are my personal stories. All right. I want to give some practical help. In preparation for today's podcast, I listened to a couple sermons that I thought would be good on grief. And this one pastor, he gave something that we can all remember. If you are going through grief or you know somebody who is grieving something, remember DEER, DEER. And DEER stands for drink, eat, exercise, and rest. Meaning drink water, not drink alcohol. It's a pastor. Drink water. Like, don't get dehydrated because you're crying, you're upset, you need to stay hydrated. So make sure you're drinking water. Eat. A lot of times people who are grieving will just stop eating.
Even though everybody's bringing casseroles.
Yeah, true. But just nourish yourself. Just eat healthy foods and move, exercise. Don't stay under the covers all day and just force yourself to move and rest, sleep. Do your best. At least try, because grief really does affect our whole person. Mm-hmm. And it's good to take care of ourselves. So, moving on to the next little segment I wanted to talk about was gratitude. I mean, you and I have talked a little bit about gratitude in terms of like Catherine and I, we've shared this on the podcast too, that we have a daily gratitude list that we share with one another.
Yes. And
oftentimes you are in my gratitude list, Val, because I'm so grateful to have another female in this family of men. And, of course, we have little Lincoln. So how do you feel as a millennial? Because I like this millennial versus, what am I?
Gen X.
Oh, yeah, that's it, Gen X. I always forget.
Well, that's because we always call you guys boomers.
Right, because we're kind of on the very tail end of boomers and the beginning of the Gen Xers. Yeah. So I don't even know. But how do you feel as a millennial woman that gratitude can help people when they're grieving?
It kind of just shifts your mind. A lot of times for me, I always say, tell people thank you. Throwing a party, having a funeral, there's a lot of things that go into it. And just being able to say thank you for blank.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes when you hear the words thank you, it kind of shifts your brain. And while you're grieving, you're thinking about everything negative. Thinking about the future and everything you're going to miss. And you start to go into that negative mindset. And just a simple thank you for whatever it is can help change that perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And start thinking about positives. So truly, I mean, even if it's outside of grief, tell the people you love thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Tell them why you're saying thank you. It can go a long way. But truly, just gratitude in general can be kind of that buffer.
Yeah. And, this thought came into my mind as you were saying that about being grateful for people like who showed up and came and that sort of thing. If you know somebody who's experienced a loss and you're available to go and support them, please do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the service that they're having, if they are having one, it's so meaningful when you are there and you see somebody who put the effort in to come to your thing. And I mean, again, it makes me tear up because I think about when my mom died. Sorry. But I was devastated. And my friend came with her baby. And she drove an hour and a half to get there. And she was nursing. So as a mom myself, I was like, that took effort.
You knew how much it goes into.
It took effort for her to get in the car and come with her baby. And it's been 30-some years. And I still remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my friend Kathy. She was in my Bible study. And, obviously she prayed for my mom as she was going through that. Prayed for healing, prayed for relief of pain. And I do believe that my mom was healed and she is pain-free now. So,
yeah. Anybody that we've lost to cancer, 100%, they're in a better place. And I feel like that's what connects us to God a lot is just the hopefulness that our loved ones are still there, that they're still watching over us. One of the biggest moments that I had was me and my mom were sitting on the couch at my house, and it was just like, did you get a chill?
Wow.
But it wasn't like the cold. It was the same feeling, but it wasn't cold.
Right.
It was the chill without being cold.
I know what you mean.
And both of us were having it, and it kept coming back at the same time. And we're like, it's JD touching us.
Yeah.
He's saying, I'm here.
Yeah. When you guys came and told us that Lincoln's middle name was James, I just felt like that was such a beautiful remembrance of JD. We all called him JD, but he went by
different
many names.
His brothers call him Jim, and
right.
I'm like, where does Jim come from? Right, James.
Jim? yeah. That's beautiful, Val. You know, the chill or the feeling of someone, because we are made in the image of God. Mm-hmm. We're human creatures, and we have a soul, and we have a presence, and so it's beautiful that JD left such a mark. He really left an impact. Mm-hmm. So that's great.
Yeah, and I just wanted to further it even more, since he didn't have his own biological children.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that he still passed on earth in some way.
Right. His name is still here. Mm-hmm. And that's great. I'm so grateful to JD because Val and Joel weren't going to have any kids. They were like 0 kids, and I was like, "Oh, okay. You know, that's your choice, and that's what you guys have decided to do." And then all of a sudden, they take us out to lunch and they tell us that she's pregnant, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" Burst into tears.
Nobody was prepared.
No, and I'm like, "Well, how?"
We're like, "Well, Tracy."
Well, I don't mean that, but I'm like, "Did you plan this?" Yes, we did. I'm like, "Wow, what happened?" And then they told us that story of how JD had an impact on them. So it's beautiful. Okay, permissions to feel. That was the next segment that we were going to talk about. Okay, we just done it here, like apologizing for our emotions, like, in terms of I'm saying sorry for the tears. But I really do think that it's important for us to be okay with not being okay in front of people. In fact, I wanted to share the story. Like, our church just had VBS, mm-hmm. which is Vacation Bible School, and it was rocking. I mean, it was wild. For a whole week, we had over 100 kids in and out of the building every night for 5 nights. So it's a community outreach event. So those kids don't all go to our church every week, but we invite them to come, and oh my gosh. And it took over 60 volunteers to put it together, because you've got crafts, and then you've got the decorations, and you've got mm-hmm. singing, and you've got the Bible lessons, all the stuff. Well, anyway, one of my friends came in to the office because I was on walk-in registration, and so we weren't busy right at the time, and my friend came in, and my other friend was there, and we said to our mutual friend, how are you? And she goes, I'm fine, but you could tell.
Yeah, she wasn't fine.
There's no fine.
Yeah.
And then my other friend said, really? And then boom.
Here comes the load.
It just came out. Well, the tears just came out.
Yeah.
But we do that. I mean, I do that. I try, but I just can't control it. I'm like,
right.
Oh,
we
whatever.
build the little bricks because I'm doing something. There's children here. There's strangers. But then the second one of your people that makes you feel like you're at home,
right,
that wall starts coming down.
Yeah. And it's stress. Like there was a lot going on that week for one thing. In the church, there was a lot of stuff. And then in her personal life, there were different things happening. So when it all compiles, it's like you can only take so much.
Right.
And then it's like a whale that comes up to the top of the surface and then poof.
Well, and it's either going to come out in anger or come out in tears.
Right. So anyway, we had our moment. We had some hugs and stuff, and little prayers and everything. And then later in the week, she said things were much better. And I told her, I said to my friend, I said, I'm so glad that you're real, because I would much rather be in a friendship with somebody who cares and who is real about life than somebody who just pretends to have it all together.
Yeah.
Because we don't have it all together.
No.
None
of us do.
No.
You may think somebody does,
but you don't.
Behind those curtains, there's something.
That's for sure. All right. Anything else that you wanted to share about today's episode?
So part of it is also just trying to appreciate more. A lot of times you don't realize how you appreciate somebody until they're gone.
Yeah.
Or just other things. So appreciating certain parts of a relationship. Just time that we have with people is the biggest thing. Time is always ticking away and it will never come back. So appreciate what you have now and what's going to come for the future. Mm-hmm. Appreciate your family. They come and go and new people are added. So appreciate all those little moments, especially with babies. Things change so quickly. And, you're holding up that baby onesie that they came home in and you're crying, sitting on a couch, folding it to put it away until you have the next one, or it might be the last one.
Yeah.
So appreciate all of those moments and appreciate your faith. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I definitely appreciate my faith because, like I shared with you some of those touching things about being a young woman losing my mom, that grew my faith by leaps and bounds because I had to. I mean, I was a pretty new Christian. I became a Christian when I was 19. So I was 27 when my mom passed away. So I'd been a Christian for a few years. But I memorized a verse back in college. And it was Isaiah 41:10. And it says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." So I memorized that verse because I was in Bible study, and that's what we did. We memorized scripture. I didn't know then, when I was memorizing that scripture, that I was going to need it so desperately in a few years. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't looked at it in a long time. That's the beauty of memorizing something. So I'm on my way by myself. Ron and Nate and Luke, who were little, they were 2 and 3 years old. They were at home because I didn't want them to be with me when I was with my mom for the final days because they're too little. Yeah. And we didn't know.
Understand.
She was on hospice and they said, we don't know how long, but she has days left. So my dad called, and I'm driving on Interstate 80 bawling. And that scripture came into my mind. And I was okay. I wasn't happy about it. I just felt peace. That's all I can say. I went from angst to peace. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, because I had never been with somebody to go through that process like that. And when I got there, my mom was sitting she couldn't get out of bed anymore because her disease had deteriorated to that point. So she was in a hospital bed in our living room where we used to put the Christmas tree. It was like in the corner of the room. And then she had a little table and then a rocking chair. And she smiled when I walked in. And she said, "You're here." I said, "Yeah, Mom, I'm here." And she goes, "Sit down. I want to play rummy," because she wanted to exercise her hands.
Yeah.
This was a woman who was smart. She was in the healthcare field, so she knew what was happening to her. She knew she was losing the battle. But she said, "I want to exercise my hands." That's all she had left. So she wasn't looking at her life through the lens of what I've lost, because she could have just shook her fist and said, "Why this? Why me? Why now?" But instead, she looked around like, "What do I have? Oh, I have this deck of cards. I have my hands. I have my daughter. Let's play cards." So we played rummy. That was the last thing I did with my mom, was play rummy. And she was wearing a scarf because she was bald from the treatment. And she had a card stuck up in her scarf. She was cheating, Valerie. She was cheating. She was competitive to the end.
Good for her.
I know. Val's a very competitive game player.
Yeah, and if certain games, if I'm losing, I have to remind myself not to cheat. And you just give up. You cheat, and then a couple rounds in, you're like, "I cheated."
I can't do it. So anyway, that taught me a lot about faith, to trust in God, and fear is real, but that scripture says, "So do not fear." Why? Because I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I will help you and comfort you. I will hold you up with my righteous right hand. So I felt like that was a promise from God that he was going to get me through that, and he did. And then my mom's reaction was so beautiful. Like, she preached a message without saying a word. She just did it. She just showed grace and showed dignity and never give up.
And gratitude.
For
what she had.
Yeah. So that was a beautiful thing, I think.
And you'll have that memory forever.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, I hope I can be as strong if I'm ever put in that position. We'll see. Hope not.
I'll hold your hand through it.
Okay, great. I'll be like, Val, let's play rummy. Pull out the cards. Okay. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, let's share some scripture. Jesus in the book of John, it's from John 11:35. It says that Jesus wept. And for those of you that want to memorize scripture, that'd be a good one to memorize because it's short.
Short and sweet.
It's the story of when Lazarus passed away. So Lazarus was the brother of Mary and Martha, and they were all friends with Jesus. Jesus was in and around them. He lived in and among them. They were friends. They loved each other, and their brother Lazarus had died. And Mary and Martha were grieving and weeping, and Lazarus had already been put in a tomb. And Jesus comes upon the scene, and he had been doing ministry with his disciples in another area, and he learned of Lazarus' death, but he waited 2 days before he went to be with them. And he knew what he was going to do. He raised Lazarus from the dead. But he waited 2 days. And the scripture doesn't tell us why he waited. It just says he waited. And so Mary and Martha were upset, and Jesus is on the scene now, and Jesus wept. What I love about that scripture is that Jesus knew what he was going to do, but he didn't say, hey, guys, don't cry. I got this, right? He let them feel the feels, and he felt it with them, and he wept with them. And I think that's just a beautiful example of how Jesus knows our emotions, he feels our emotions, and he's there to walk with us through them. And then he fixed it. and then he raised Lazarus from the dead, and Lazarus came out of the tomb. So that's one of my favorite verses. So I just want to encourage everybody, you don't have to apologize for your tears. They're real. And Jesus will be with you through those dark moments. All right, a call to action. We just thought we would say, that grief is more than death. Gratitude can anchor us, without minimizing our pain, and God meets us in our grief. And so give yourself permission to grieve, to feel what it's like, and don't apologize, and take care of yourself, and lean into God, lean into your faith, and remember that you don't walk through your grief alone. I think that's a good message. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Val, thanks so much for suggesting this topic and for being here to sub for Catherine.
Yes.
Who Warren has kidnapped her little grandson. And you've been listening to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast, and I'm still Tracy DeGraaf.
And I'm Valerie.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.